Good morning, you guys. Welcome to or back to the pod. I'm joining you on this Saturday afternoon. This is going to be a chat about one of the biggest binaries that I've noticed about my life in the last couple of months. I am coming to you today from Whittier Cafe. It's a cafe I found here down in downtown Denver. Guys, my ideal Saturday is running so many miles or lifting and then finding a cute new coffee shop to explore. So you're going to get some organic coffee shop sounds today. Good thing I have an awesome microphone to pick up on my podcast, but I always love a coffee shop vibe. So if you want to vibe with me, Chris, if you're on your walk, Papa, if you're driving to work, Mom, if you're on a walk with the dog, hello, I'm thinking about you guys all the time. And yeah, today I want to share with you one of the biggest binaries I've experienced. Shout out to my dad for putting the idea of binaries in my life, because I swear once he started pointing them out to me, I started seeing them everywhere in my life. And the biggest one I have seen is how I've been able to transform from switching to impressing other people to impressing myself. And I feel like this is the biggest life hack that I have figured out over the last couple of months, and it's made me such a more confident person. As somebody who has good, I would say most of their teenage years and like early 20s relied a lot on external validation. Definitely in my first romantic relationships, definitely relied on external validation. Growing up, I always wanted my parents to be impressed with my academic pursuits, and I only felt like I was enough academically after I graduated from undergrad. And then the last couple of years have been figuring out, I guess, not how to rely so much on other people's approval, or I don't know, just like digging into that, because there is something good about wanting to please other people. Like, everything has a good and a bad side. So I'm not just going to say that pleasing other people is a bad thing, because it means you care about other people's opinions. However, I have shifted the last couple of months to impressing myself. And I feel it's so freeing. And I'm going to explain why this is at the same time the most sustainable way to live, and at the same time the hardest way to live. And that's why it's a binary. And I always think about Alex Lin when I think about this, because he always says you versus you. And you versus you is at the same time the most freeing thing and the hardest thing in the world. Because when you live to impress other people, you can actually find a way to get that dopamine, and you can even shortcut it by, one, getting it from people who are impressed by not that much, and two, you can get it from just showing them the result. And because when you impress other people, you show them the result. Maybe sometimes you show them some work along the way, and sometimes they see the work along the way. But in my case, it was always, showing my parents the A on my exam, or winning a tennis match, or whatever. And I got the approval from them. But expanding this to just more than parents and just people pleasing in general, if you're wanting to please a guy or whatever, they don't know if you shortcut your way to what you accomplished, or if it was actually challenging. Like, something could not be that challenging, but you still get a lot of praise for it, and you can think that, okay, that's good because I did it and they're impressed with it. But actually, if it actually wasn't that hard for you, I don't think that you should be that impressed. Like, my master's degree, like, genuinely, it was not that hard. So I think some people could see that on my resume and think, wow, like, she got a master's degree, she got a 3.8 GPA. But, like, I'm telling you, my undergrad degree was way harder, and I will tell you that that's actually something I'm proud of. And master's degree, I'm proud of it, but not as much as I am undergrad and other things I've done. The only reason I'm, like, proud of my master's is because of everything that kind of went around it, and the fact that I moved to Colorado here on my own accord, and all the things that I did during it. I worked full-time running EMT, like, you guys already all know all that. But the actual school itself, I'm not, like, it wasn't that hard. So I don't think that deserves so much, or like very much, accolade, because I know the things that are actually hard in my life. And so being beyond, and also getting validation from other people is not the most sustainable way to live, because it is dependent on other people and their perceptions of you, and obviously you cannot always control other people's perceptions of you. So when you live to impress yourself, and somehow along the way I was able to start doing this, because the thing is that results are not sustainable. Only effort is sustainable. You don't know if you're going to actually achieve what you're going to do. Like, I don't know if I'm going to get $1,000. I don't know if I'm going to be able to run 50 miles, right? But what is sustainable is the effort that I put in. Like, all my training, that's sustainable because that's my effort. Anything that I can come up with to try to get donations, that's sustainable because that's my effort. And in a way, I have found that I tell myself, like, I've already won. I already won because I, quote, stay in the arena. I stay in it. I keep doing it. And so I've found a way to detach myself from the end result by just appreciating the effort that I put in every day. And I'm the only one that knows the effort that I put into things every single day. And in the past, I kind of wanted to make it known the effort that I put in every day. And I feel like it's kind of ironic because I share more than ever my life online and with people, but I expect the least amount of praise externally. Like, in the past, maybe when I posted a picture or something, I wanted people to like it and comment and say that I looked beautiful or whatever. But now I just post pictures because I think that they're beautiful, and some like, you know, and I'm not relying on those comments. And so it's at the same time. So that's why it's sustainable, because it's about your effort. It's about, if you study every day, if you insert your thing here, it's like if you do it every day or on whatever cadence that you figured out. Like, Chris, I know that you write very consistently, and it's the consistency that I admire. It's this consistency of being able to stick with something that you told yourself, and that's what I really admire in people. And I look up to you and other people who do that genuinely, like, very deeply, and it inspires me. And when no one's watching is the big thing too, is like, when nobody's watching, what do you do? When do you wake up? Like, all of the things like that. And so, and at the same time, this is also the most difficult, because when you are the one that sees your effort, you are also the one that sees when you're not putting in the effort and when you do take the easy way. Like, when I'm running and I have the option of going either up a hill or down the route that doesn't have a hill, like, I'm the only one that's going to know in that moment the decision I choose. Everybody else is just going to see my Strava running recap where it shows the mileage and how long it took me. Like, that's what everybody's going to see. Nobody's going to see the route that I chose if I chose to make it harder for myself. And that's the key, is because it can be easy to lie to yourself and think that you are doing enough, but you know in your gut if you're doing enough. You know in your gut if you're working hard enough. You know in your gut if it was actually difficult for you and if you need to amp it up. You know the days that you skip, even if the world doesn't know. And so it's the epitome of a binary, because it's more difficult to impress yourself because you're the one that lives with you every day. You're the one that knows your intentions. Let's say it's a friendship and you do something that somebody doesn't like. You know if your intentions weren't great. And honestly, even if something bad doesn't happen, but you know you didn't have good intentions. I'm not even speaking from an example here. I'm spitballing this one. I'm not thinking of anyone in specific. Okay. If your intentions aren't good, but then something good does happen, you still have to live with the fact that you didn't have good intentions, you know? So, sure, comments when you do things and when you achieve things still feel good, but just trying to do things to impress myself has allowed me to it's allowed me to no longer rely on them like air to breathe or my fuel. My fuel is my own perception of myself. I'm just trying to do everything to impress myself. And along the way, whatever anybody thinks, cool, but I think that I'm cool. I'm beginning to think that I'm 1% cool for the first time in my life. And also at the same time, it's really hard because I do see all of my gaps and I see everything that I don't know. And I see all the people who run faster and longer than me. And I see all the people who know more than me at work. I see all the people who know more than me in medicine and can pick up things faster. I know all of my faults. And so that's why it's also very hard at the same time, because I'm the only one Like, I see all of my faults and I see all of my good things at the same time. And so, like, somebody else could say, no, like, Anya, you're doing good. Like, you got your EMT. You do this. You can run that. But, like, I know my gaps in knowledge. I know when other people know more at work than me. I know if I know I can't explain exactly how a component works. And those gaps in me drive me insane, because I'm like, how do I fill in those gaps? And I guess it's just by working harder. It's just by studying my things at work more, like answering the questions, digging deeper, like spending the time doing it. That's the answer. I mean, how do I run faster? Is force myself to run faster until my body can physiologically adapt to that, right? Like, so that's what keeps me up at night nowadays, is just, I don't really care when people like accolade me, whatever the verb for accolade is, me. I don't care, because I know all my deficits and I know what I need to improve on. Like, I know what I need to be able to know how to explain better. And I get so frustrated when I should be able to answer something and I don't know. Or, you know, because I know that I should know this stuff and I don't. And that's what drives me insane nowadays. So that's why it's the harder option, is because somebody else can tell you that what you're doing is enough, but you know if it's not enough or not. And at the same time, I would say that this is how I prefer to live, because the effort is what's in my control, right? Like, I can control, this is something I can actually do something about. If I see a gap in my knowledge, something in cardiology, for example, like if I don't know all the nodes of the heart, and even though I've studied them so many times and I still don't know them, like, that's something that I can control. I can go and I can sit and I can study it, and then I can recite it when I'm driving alone in my car. Like, I can learn that stuff. That's in my control. Let's say if I was trying to impress my EMT teacher with all of my knowledge, like, I can't control if he thinks that I know a lot or not. I can't control if he thinks I'm smart. And so that's why I just, like, nowadays I can just care a lot less about what other people think. And at the same time, because I'm just trying to impress myself. I know when I've put in the effort, and I know when I don't. So I don't need somebody to tell me that I'm putting in effort or not, because they don't really know. They don't, unless they are with me every single day, every moment, and they're literally in my brain, they don't know. They don't know. So I don't have to rely on them. I rely on them for emotional support, for fun, for connection, like sharing my thoughts. Like, people have just taken on such a richer role in my life because I'm not relying on them to do that heavy lifting of giving me my self-worth. I instead can come into relationships, friendships, family, everything. When I say relationships, I mean all of those. I can come into those actually just finding joy in being with the other person and asking them questions and understanding their psyche instead of trying to get something out of them, which is self-validation. And I think that's more fun. I think it's more fun when I'm not constantly trying to get validation from somebody that I'm pretty or that I'm smart or that I'm fit or whatever. I don't need anybody to tell me that anymore. I know that I'm beautiful. I know that I'm smart. I know that I work hard. I know that I'm fit physically. Like, and maybe it's cocky, but at the same time, I'm going to tell you, I know all of my faults, and I know all my faults that drive me insane. I know the things at work that I don't know, which I need to sit and study and get better at. I know where my deficits are. I know that I run slower than a lot of people. I know when I don't look good at the same time, but it's like, it's just about, I just know myself in my entirety for all the good and all the bad. And so I don't really need anybody to tell me any of those things anymore, which is nice. Because then if when I was in a romantic relationship and let's say we broke up, then afterwards I was like, who is Anya without this person? I was like, who is Anya without number one? And then I was like, who is Anya without number two? And then when number three left, I was like, I know who Anya is. Anya has always been, for these last 8-9 months that we were together, I've always been me. I've always kept my sense of self, and I've just been able to grow that even stronger. And now I get better, to me, more fulfilling things from relationships than always trying to get something out of them. And this goes back to my first episode. I reference this all the time, but it's like, okay, how do you know what things to do to impress yourself? And I'll tell you, listen to my first episode. I've said this before and I'll say it again. It's you look at yourself from a third-party perspective and you think, what is the coolest thing that I can picture somebody else doing? And then you do those things. What would you be impressed by if somebody told you they did? Do it. It's so simple. And people are always like, how do I know what to do? I don't want to do it. And I was there. When I got my first full-time job and I moved to Houston, I was thinking, how do I spend my time? I'm out of school. I don't have homework to do. How do I know what to do? And so then I started to realize this over years. It was not overnight after undergrad when I started to suddenly just do things for myself. No, it took me 3-ish years to start to figure out things that would actually be impressive to me and start doing those. And I'm sharing this because I have been able to find a lot of happiness and sustained happiness and joy living independently, not being with a romantic partner, living by myself. That's why I'm sharing this, because I don't think it's the way to live. I don't think there's no one right way to do anything. If you know me, the first thing you'll know about me is I don't really think in absolutes all the time. I'm sharing with you what has helped me be a more joyous person while being independent, and at the same time that independence actually bringing me closer in relationships, so that I'm not always living from relationship to relationship. I'm not always looking for that man or that person who can validate me. I don't ask anybody to validate my emotions. I know that I would not feel something if I didn't have a reason to. I don't need somebody to validate my accomplishments because I know if they were actually difficult or not. And at the same time, I don't need anybody sugarcoating if I know more than I don't, because I know all of the things that I don't know. So I think you can see here how this is one of the biggest binaries, is that impressing yourself instead of impressing other people is both the most freeing and the hardest thing at the same time. Hope you guys have been enjoying the podcast. I always appreciate when you listen so much. It honestly means the world to me. I always get super philosophical when I'm out running or out lifting, so this is such a fun outlet for me to share every week what's been on my mind in a more long-form way. So I appreciate it, and I will see you next week.